late day. Got explosives right here. That's a bad combination right there. And this is the killer. But we're gonna make this make sense. We're gonna make this make sense. I was trying to get some light. All right. All right. If I turn on the light. Turn on the light. I still look black. Well, this ain't for me anyway. It's for my reading. And today I am reading Mark 6:30. The apostles returned. Hold on. Get this right too. Okay. There we go. Mark 6, verse 30. The apostles returned to Jesus from their ministry tour and told him all they had done and what they had taught. Then Jesus said, "Let's go away from the crowds for a while and rest." There were so many people coming and going that Jesus and the apostles didn't even have time to eat. They left by boat for a quieter spot. But many people saw them leaving, and the people from many towns ran ahead along the shore and met them as they landed. The vast crowd was there as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he taught them many things. Late in the afternoon, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a desolate place, and it's getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to nearby farms and villages and buy themselves some food." I can't see myself. But Jesus said, "You feed them." With what they asked, it would take a small fortune to buy food for all of this crowd. "How much food do you have?" he asked. "Go find out." They came back and reported, "We have 5 loaves of bread and just two fish." Then Jesus told the crowd to sit down in groups on the grass. So they sat in groups of 50 or 100. Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looked up toward heaven, and asked God's blessing on the food. Breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread and fish to the disciples to give to the people. They all ate as much as they wanted, and they picked up 12 baskets of leftover bread and fish. 5,000 men have eaten from those 5 loaves. Immediately after this, Jesus made his disciples get back into the boat and head out across the lake of Bethsaida. While he sent the people home after he went up into the hills to pray by himself to pray. During the night, the disciples were in their boats out in the middle of the lake. Jesus was alone on the middle of the lake. The disciples were in their boat in the middle of the lake, and Jesus was alone on the land. He saw that they were in serious trouble, rowing hard and struggling against the wind and waves. About 3 a.m, he came to them walking on the water. He started to go past them, but when they saw him walking on the water, they screamed in terror, thinking he was a ghost. They were all terrified when they saw him, but Jesus spoke to them at once. "It's all right," he said. "I'm here. Don't be afraid." Then he climbed into the boat, and the wind stopped. They were astonished at what they saw. They still didn't understand the significance of the miracle of the multiple loaves, and their hearts were hard and did not believe. When they arrived at Gennesaret, on the other side of the lake, they anchored the boat and climbed out. The people standing there recognized him at once, and they ran throughout the whole area and began carrying sick people with them on mats. Whenever he went to the villages and the cities and out on the farms, they laid the sick in the marketplaces of the streets, and the sick begged him to let them at least touch the fringe of his robe, and all who touched it were healed. Jesus teaches about the inner purity. One day, some Pharisees and some teachers of religious law arrived from Jerusalem to confront Jesus. They noticed that some of the disciples had failed to follow the usual ritual of hand washing before eating. Oh, I'm going too far to where I'm supposed to go. We gotta go on over to Second Sam. Second Sam 16. Second Samuel 16. David was just past the top of the hill when Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, caught up with him. He was leading 2 donkeys with 200 loaves of bread, 100 clusters of raisins, 100 bunches of summer fruit, and a skin of wine. What are these for? The king asked Ziba. And Ziba replied, the donkey are for your people to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit are for your young men to eat. The wine is to be taken with you into wilderness for those who become faint. And where is Mephibosheth? Mephibosheth? The king asked him. He stayed in Jerusalem. Ziba replied. He said, today I will set back the kingdom of my grandfather Saul. I will get back the kingdom of my grandfather Saul. In that case, the king told Ziba, I give you everything Miss Mephibosheth owns. Thank you, sir. I will do. Thank you, sir, Ziba replied. I will always do whatever you want me to do. As David and his party passed Bahurim, a man came out of the village cursing them. It was Shimei, son of Gera, a member of Saul's family. He threw stones at the king and the king's officer and all the mighty warriors who surrounded him. Get out of here, you murderer, you scoundrel, he shouted at David. The Lord is paying you back for murdering Saul and his family. You stole his throne, and now the Lord is giving it to your son Absalom. At last, you will taste some of your own medicine, you murderer. Why should this dead dog curse my lord, the king? Abishai, son of Zeruiah, demanded, let me go over and cut his head off. No, the king said, what am I going to do with you sons of Zeruiah? If the Lord has told him to curse me, who am I to stop him? Then David said, Abishai, and the other officers, my own son is trying to kill me. Shouldn't this relatively kill of Saul have even more reason to do so? Leave him alone and let him curse, for the Lord has told him to do it. And perhaps the Lord will see that I am being wronged and will bless me because of these curses. So David and his men continued on, and Shimei kept place with them on a nearby hillside, cursing as he went and throwing stones at David and tossing dust into the air. The king and all who were with him grew weary along the way, so they rested when they reached the Jordan River. Meanwhile, Absalom and his men arrived at Jerusalem, accompanied Ahithophel. When David's friend Uzziah the Archite arrived, he went immediately to see Absalom. Long live the king, he exclaimed. Long live the king. Is this the way you treat your friend David? Absalom asked him. Why aren't you with him? I am here because I work for the man who is chosen by the Lord and by Israel. Hushai replied, and anyway, why shouldn't I serve you? I helped your father and I will help you. Then Absalom turned to Ahithophel and asked him, what should I do next? Ahithophel told him, go and sleep with your father's concubines, for he has left them here to keep the house. Then all of Israel will know that you have insulted him behind hope of recognition, and they would give you their support. So they set up a tent on the palace roof where everyone could see it, and Absalom went in the tent and slept with his father's concubines. Absalom followed Ahithophel advice just as David had done. For every word Ahithophel spoken seemed as wise as though it had been come directly from the mouth of God. Dan 10:1-22. Daniel 10:1. In the third year of the reign of King Cyrus of Persia, Daniel, also known as Belshazzar, had another vision. It concerned events certain to happen in the near future, times of war and great hardship. And Daniel understood what the vision meant. When this vision came to me, when this vision came to me, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 weeks. All the time, I hadn't eaten no rich food or meat, had drunk no wine, and had used no fragrant oils. On April 23rd, as I standing beside the great Tigris River, I looked up and saw a man dressed in linen clothing, with a belt of pure gold around his waist, his body locked in dazzling gems. From his face came flashes like lightning. His eyes were like flaming torches. His arms and feet shone like polished bronze, and his voice was like the roaring of a multitude of people. I, Daniel, am the only one who saw this vision. The men who with me saw nothing, but they were certainly terrified and ran to hide. So there. I was left there all alone to watch this amazing vision. My strength left me and my face grew deathly pale, and I felt very weak. When I heard him speak, I fainted and lay there with my face to the ground. And then a hand touched me and lifted me, still trembling to my hands and knees. And the man said to me, "O Daniel, greatly, love of God, listen carefully to what I have to say to you. Stand up, for I have been sent to you." When he said this to me, I stood up, still trembling with fear. Then he said, "Don't be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day you began to pray for understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your request has been heard in heaven. I have come to answer your prayers." But for 21 days, the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. Then Michael, one of the archangels, came to help me, and I left him there with the spirit prince of Persia. Now I am here to explain what happens to your people in the future, a time yet to come. When he was speaking to me, I looked down at the ground, unable to say a word. Then one who looked like a man touched my lips, and I opened my mouth and began to speak. I said to the one standing in front of me, "I'm terrified by the vision I have seen, my Lord. I am very weak. How can someone like your servant talk to you, my Lord? My strength is gone, and I can hardly breathe." Then the one who looked like a man touched me again, and I felt my strength returning. "Don't be afraid," he said, "for you are deeply loved by God. Be at peace and take heart and be strong." And all these words, I suddenly felt stronger and said to him, "Now you may speak, my Lord, for you have strengthened me." He replied, "Do you know why I have come? Soon I must be returned to fight against the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia, and then against the spirit prince of the kingdom of Greece. But before I do that, I will tell you what is written in the book of truth. There is no one to help me against these spirit princes except for Michael, the spirit prince. I have been standing beside Michael as his support and defense since the first year of the reign of Darius of Mede. Bada bang, bada boom.